Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Digital asset investor. I have a couple of interesting things, several in fact, interesting things that were either sent to me or I saw in the news today or yesterday that I wanted to go over on this Friday. The first one is I had mentioned, I believe the other day, that Coinbase Custody has now, you can now custody XRP at Coinbase Custody. That does not mean that you can go to Coinbase and buy and sell XRP. But I'm not bringing this up to even tell you about how they custody XRP, because I told you this the other day. I wanted to make a point just so that you can really understand the bad blood between Coinbase and Ripple. Look what they did. First, I'll read this to you. XRP is one of the two assets, the other being Almost Go, supported by the custody solution, but which cannot currently be traded on the exchange. Coinbase Custody also opted to use the Ripple logo rather than that of XRP. Whether this has any significance is debatable, but the ongoing PR campaign to distance the XRP token from Ripple Labs is apparently not finding traction at Coinbase. These guys, if you think that this is not Coinbase trying to spite Ripple, I'm sure that Coinbase had so much demand from institutions to be able to custody XRP there that they folded. But if you think that putting this Ripple logo, when they know darn well that that XRP has its own logo now, this is a slap in the face of Ripple. No matter what you think, that's what this is, because these guys know darn well what the difference is. But this is them flipping Ripple the bird right there is what it is. I thought that was worthy of mentioning. Next, now I have to tell you who gave me this next piece of information, because he calls himself Hothead23, and I do not want to make Hothead23 mad. I don't mess with hotheads. You need to follow him. He's in the XRP community at Alex Morales 622. Hothead23. I thought that was a funny name. Anyway, moving along, he sent me this. It's from Leonidas, who you also should follow, at LeoHadJILOIZOU. And that is, he put this on Twitter. It's really interesting. Infographic XRP Fiat Pairs that we know of. Now, before you look at this, what I want you to be asking yourself is this. So if these are the fiat pairings, how many more of these do we have ahead of us? And the answer is thousands and thousands of future fiat pairings. I just want to show you this to show you how early we are in the game. There's 44 fiat pairs with XRP. There's 145 fiat exchanges, 254 fiat pairings. So let's look at these. If you look up, you'll see, I'll take one for example, the Swiss franc. There's two exchanges that are pairing XRP with the Swiss franc. Out of the entire world, there's two. The United States dollar has 55, which is the most. The euro has 44, which is the next most. And then I see the Japanese yen and the pound sterling at both 13 each. But just imagine, looking through here, just imagine how many of these different, like the Mexican peso's got 3. Down the road, these will literally be thousands and thousands of pairings with XRP. But because there's so few right now, that means there's a lot less liquidity than there will be down the road. And with a lot less liquidity, that means the price of XRP is a lot lower than it will be down the road. Simple as that. Moving along, at XRP_veteran sent me this. Now, this is a video I think I showed you a while back, or if I didn't show it to you, I saw it. I don't remember. But anyway, he says, Nonbelievers of XRP, we have heard it 99 times. The 100 times will be the real utility that will be used by banks, XRapid, and believe me, you will never be able to buy at these low prices again. But he put, I don't know if he put this little clip together, but this is this is something that he had posted, and there was a guy being interviewed in this video, and I don't remember what the guy's name was, but he was basically, it was the most ludicrous thing in the world. He was saying that he didn't believe that he said he knew about XRapid, but he didn't believe that the XRP price would go up because it's too fast. Now, talk about ignorance. And this is a Wayne Dyer quote: the highest form of ignorance is when you reject something. I think it's the word there, something you don't know anything about. And so I thought that was pretty funny. Moving along. Now this is interesting right here. And I'm going to make a point here that I've made in the past, but it was many, many subscribers ago. By the way, I want to thank everybody. I hit 30,000 subscribers last night, and I wanted to thank every single one of you who has subscribed and who listens to me for that, because I never thought in a million years I would have 30,000 subscribers. But I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you all listening. This is from the Ripening, at the _Ripening. He is a very active XRP member, and I appreciate everything he puts out, and he sends me things every once in a while. But he posted a video from, this is from the movie Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman from back, I think, in the 90s. There was a scene in that movie that was a land rush scene. It was the Oklahoma land rush, and everybody was on horses, and they had white flags, and it was like a game. I mean, they literally, as I recall, I haven't seen the scene in a while, but as I recall, they fired a gun, and then the horses all ran, and if you could get to a piece of land and stake your flag, it was yours for free. It was automatically yours. And he says, in here he says, claim your XRP today like settlers claimed land for free during the Oklahoma land rush. What this reminded me of is a movie that I was actually cleaning my office this weekend, and I was watching the movie All the Money in the World. It's about J. Paul Getty. There was a scene in this movie about J. Paul Getty where, just so you know, J. Paul Getty was, at the time, he was the richest man in the world, and he was also, at the time, the richest man in the history of the world. And there's a scene where J. Paul Getty arrives on a train, and it looks like the train dead ends in the Saudi Arabian desert. And he walks in and he meets with these Saudi Arabian guys out in the middle of this desert. And then the movie goes on to explain to you that the way that J. Paul Getty became the richest man in the world was that he went out into the desert, and once the Saudis realized all of the oil that was beneath the land that they owned, J. Paul Getty provided them a way to get it out of their land and to get it by train and by ship to be shipped and sold all around the world. And this is what made the Saudi Arabians so wealthy. Well, if you don't think there's a parallel between that and XRP, the new asset class, think about this for a minute, because I've made this comparison before. Let's say you owned that Saudi Arabian land. Well, that land, let's say at the time it was worth $1 an acre, and then the next day you find out that it has that oil beneath it. What happens to the value of that land? Well, these guys became some of the wealthiest people in the world because of what was under that land. Well, I compare investing in XRP the same way, but I compare those natural resources like oil to the XRP use case and future use cases. The Ripple use case, moving money from bank to bank or payment companies and moving money around the world and having money sloshing around in Nostro accounts around the world, that's one use case. And that may be the greatest use case. That may be the Saudi oil underneath your feet. But then you've got Coil, and you have the Spring initiative, where there's going to be more and more use cases. Down the road, you could have thousands of use cases. And so, yes, you are staking your flag in your XRP right now. And the future use cases, and that's the great thing, that Saudi land, it had that use case underneath it. It had that oil underneath it. It had those natural resources. But the great thing about XRP is it's got the Ripple use case, and then it's got thousands of potential use cases into the future that haven't even been discovered yet. So it's a great comparison, especially when you think in terms of this being a new asset class, the first time in over 100 years. You've had stocks, bonds, real estate. I talk about this all the time. And now you've got a new asset class. And you XRP holders out there, just like me, you have oil running underneath your feet. So be excited. Be very excited. Moving along. Now, I'm about to butcher this guy's name, and he literally sent me something, and I couldn't find it, that told me, I think he either sent me an email or a direct message telling me how to pronounce his name, and here I am. I'm going to butcher his name again because I forgot how he said to say it. So, Jody Boccio, I want you to send it to me, direct message me again and remind me one more time, and maybe I'll get it this time. At Jody_BOCCIO, he sent me this from Weiss Ratings. XRP is holding well above recent lows, but if we see it decouple from BTC, this would be a major step forward in the evolution of the crypto markets. We'd love to see each cryptocurrency trade based on its own fundamentals and not whatever BTC happens to do. Hashtag cryptocurrency. And these guys are dead on it. I mean, talk about a turnaround. Weiss Ratings has been on top of it. These guys totally get it with XRP now. And so you got to give them credit. Moving along. And so I wanted to make this point, and I think I made it yesterday, but all we've seen in the news the last 48 hours, destruction in the crypto markets, and we're already beginning to see that Bitcoin's dead and it's a Ponzi scheme. We're shorting Bitcoin. We already started to see these types of things. But what I want to show you is after this supposed slaughter, look, when this supposed slaughter began, XRP was at about 50 cents. We're now at about 47 cents. I haven't refreshed this in a little while, but this morning we were at about 47 cents, and XRP has been going up while all the others have been going down, and it's surpassed Ethereum, and it's held this for almost 24 hours now. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Writing's on the wall. Moving along. Okay, now this is funny. I wanted to finish with this. Every time the market goes down, it's the same thing. And those of you that are new to investing in cryptocurrencies, I wanted to make this point to finish this video off. Financial analyst Gary Shilling shorts Bitcoin. It's a grand Ponzi scheme. Okay, so this is obviously an old school financial guy. Every time we have a cryptocurrency crash, the same old guys come out and start saying the same things. And so let's analyze what he's saying here. Financial analyst Gary Shilling said, he's a New Jersey investment firm, Gary Shilling and Company. He's shorting Bitcoin because it's some kind of grand Ponzi scheme. And then this is what I found hilarious. I'm not a believer in black boxes. He wants transparency. He says, I'm just very suspicious of things that are not transparent. Talk about somebody who does not understand what digital assets are. Now, I'm a big believer in XRP, but when it comes to Bitcoin, if you want to compare Bitcoin to what we've had, which is fiat, I'm a big, huge believer in Bitcoin, because talk about transparency. Fiat versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin by the design is designed to be transparent. Fiat, the real Ponzi scheme, is designed not to be transparent so that the central banks can control everything. But I'll prove this. But he says, I'm just very suspicious of things that are not transparent. Shilling said at the time, see video, says, if I can't understand it, I don't want to invest in it. And what you should get out of that is he doesn't want to understand it. That because he's too old to understand it, and he knows it's time to be put out to pasture, Mr. Shilling. That's what it really means. But let's make my point. He doesn't like things that aren't transparent. Well, do you think that he supports the Federal Reserve? Because this is an article from 2017. American taxpayers deserve an audit of the Federal Reserve. How's that for transparent? Well, actually, let's go down in the article, and they actually use the word. Okay, they're talking in here about how the Government Accountability Office needs to audit the Fed, but the government won't let them audit the Fed. We've had people like Rand Paul and his dad have been saying we should audit the Fed for years, and nobody has listened to them. But down here in this article, it says, if there's anyone who can bring transparency to the Fed without spilling financial secrets, it's the independent GAO. The GAO should audit the Federal Reserve because the best way to resist temptation is a proper upbringing, a strong set of values and witnesses. But Mr. Shilling, he doesn't see any transparency in Bitcoin, but he sees full transparency in the Fed that's never been audited, never really been audited by anyone that's a third party who would actually be honest in the situation. So, Mr. Shilling, just go ahead and retire. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that they should audit the Federal Reserve. XRP is a very transparent audit. It's done. Every time you do a transaction, it's audited. Everybody knows. You can actually, wouldn't it be nice, as I finish this video, wouldn't it be nice, and many of you may not know this, did you know that you can go, just type in Bitcoin Explorer, or you can do it for XRP as well. Type in Bitcoin Explorer, and if you have a Bitcoin address, put in your Bitcoin address. Talk about auditing and transparency. It literally will show you, it's open to the public. You can go and you can look at how much is at that Bitcoin address. Talk about being transparent. And the same goes for all these digital assets. You can literally go, it's a public blockchain. What would happen if we could actually peek into the Federal Reserve and see what's on their book? Type in their address and see what's there, or what's actually there. Let me throw another one out there at you. What if we could audit Fort Knox? What if we could put in a code and it would tell us how much in gold is really in the reserves of Fort Knox? We might have World War III on our hands if we looked at that. But transparency, sir, digital assets are transparent, and that's why they're going to take over the world. Thanks for listening.